wondered just how far your food travels before it reaches your plate? You might be surprised. Some of the everyday items in your kitchen have journeyed thousands of miles. But what if we could change that one ingredient at a time? Welcome to One Bite is Everything, the podcast that connects the food on our plates to the bigger world, sparking curiosity and inspiring you to ask questions about where your food comes from and how it's produced. This is our monthly installment of the Local Food Challenge, where we take small but powerful steps toward eating more locally. I am your host, Dana DiPrima, and today we are stepping into your kitchen. I have done this myself, and I need to tell you that it's had a big impact on my own consciousness about what I have in my kitchen and how I shop. We've already explored why local food matters, and you've tracked the miles of just one meal. If that was eye-opening, get ready, because today we are doing a kitchen audit. It is one of the most impactful exercises of the Local Food Challenge. Now, don't worry, this isn't about judgment or guilt. We're not throwing anything away. This is simply about awareness, understanding where our food comes from so that we can make more informed choices over time. This part of the challenge can really be a lot of fun. See if you can get another member of your household to join you in doing it. In today's episode, you will learn how to examine your fridge, pantry, and spice cabinet to discover where your food is really from, why some of the most common foods like garlic, olive oil, and canned tomatoes might have origins that surprise you, and simple swaps and small steps that you can take to bring more local ingredients into your kitchen. By the end of this episode, you will have a whole new perspective on what's sitting in your kitchen right now, and you'll be equipped with easy ways to start making more local choices. I am your host, Dana DiPrima. Let's get started. Let's talk about what a kitchen audit actually is. It's a simple exercise where we take stock of what's in our kitchen, our refrigerator, our pantry, and our spice cabinet to see where our food is coming from. It's a snapshot of the kinds of decisions we're making without really thinking about it. And if you think you are a really good local shopper, like I thought I was, I think you're going to learn a few things when you really dig into your kitchen. Why does this matter? Well, the average food item in American grocery stores travels about 1,500 miles before reaching your plate. In some cases, like spices or out-of-season produce, that number can be tens of thousands of miles. For example, did you know that most garlic in U.S. supermarkets comes from China? Or that nearly 80% of America's seafood is imported despite having one of the largest coastlines in the world? Even common staples like flour, olive oil, and canned tomatoes might have origins that surprise you. A kitchen audit helps us see the reality of our food choices, what's local, what's imported, and where we might want to make shifts in the future. This is not about perfection, it's about awareness. Once we see where our food comes from, we can make small, intentional changes. So here's how you do it. Grab a notepad, or check the show notes because I will leave you some worksheets. Open your kitchen cabinets and let's break this into 3 parts. Number 1, the refrigerator. This is where we often have the most local food, fresh vegetables, dairy, eggs, and meats, but also some sneaky imported goods. Look at the labels. Where's your milk from? What about your eggs? Check your produce. Were those strawberries grown in your state, or did they come from Mexico? Beverages are also a big one. That orange juice, likely from Florida or Brazil. Coffee, almost always from another country. Even milk alternatives like almond or oat milk. Where were they produced? Here's an interesting fact. Did you know that over 90% of the orange juice consumed in the U.S. comes from just 2 places, Florida or Brazil? Next time you buy it, check and see if you can find out where it's from. So what does all this mean? If you already buy local milk, eggs, or produce, that's a win. Keep supporting those sources. Every time you shop with a local farmer, it has a real impact on their businesses and on your community. Did you know that nearly 80% of your dollar stays in the local community when you shop at a farmer's market? And compare that to only 15 cents on the dollar when you shop in your grocery store. If something in your refrigerator audit surprised you, like imported garlic or orange juice, maybe you can seek out a more local option next time. Now let's move on to the pantry. Pantry staples often have the longest food miles because they're designed to last. Where is your rice from? The U.S. grows rice, but a lot of it comes from Asia. What about pasta? Italian or American? Canned goods? Many tomatoes are from Italy, even if they're in a U.S. brand. Oils. Olive oil is mostly from Spain, Italy, or Greece, while vegetable oil could be from American soybeans. Knowing what's in your oil is also a really good idea. There is a lot of controversy around the health of seed oils. We're going to have to get into that one in another episode. Want to know an interesting fact? Here's one that surprised me. Most canned pumpkin isn't actually pumpkin. It's a variety of squash, and a lot of it is grown right here in the United States, primarily in Illinois. Anyway, here's what this means. Pantry swaps can be an easy win. Look for U.S.-grown rice, local flour brands, which are actually quite hard to find, and maybe some olive oil from California. Now, let's go to your spice cabinet. I keep my spices in a cabinet. I used to keep them in a drawer. I'm not sure how you do it, but open either one. This is the sneakiest section. This is where we find some of the most traveled foods in our kitchen. Cinnamon, Indonesia. Black pepper, India or Vietnam. Paprika, Hungary or Spain. Vanilla, often Madagascar or Mexico. Even if you're committed to buying local food, your spice cabinet is probably a world tour in and of itself. Here's an interesting fact. Did you know that most real cinnamon in the United States is actually cassia, a cousin to true cinnamon? And true cinnamon mostly comes from Sri Lanka. Here's an interesting and slightly disturbing fact. Most of the spices in your supermarket are coming from overseas and are irradiated before they enter the United States. I'm not sure if I really want my spices to be irradiated, and I look for local options. Anyway, here's what this means. Spices are tricky, and most will always be imported, but buying from small, high-quality suppliers can make a difference in freshness and sustainability. All right, now that you've been through the triad of your kitchen, the refrigerator, the pantry, and the spice cabinet, what do you do with this information? This isn't about throwing anything away. It's really about awareness, although feel free to throw something away if you feel like it's now kind of grossing you out. I did. Here's what you can do. Highlight local wins. Did you find anything local? Milk, eggs, produce? That's great. Keep supporting those sources. All right, next, note the surprises. What traveled the farthest? Did anything shock you? Maybe put a Post-it note on your refrigerator about figuring out a solution for that one. Maybe set a small goal. Could be switching to a locally grown flour brand, finding a nearby honey producer, I know a few, or buying from a local butcher instead of the grocery store. When you go to your butcher, you can always talk to them about where the meat was sourced. Here's another interesting fact, since I mentioned honey. The U.S. produces more honey than we consume, and yet we still import massive amounts from China, India, and Argentina. Sometimes it's hard to know whether the honey is 100% honey or whether it's mixed with something else. Buying local honey supports pollinators and keeps small beekeepers in your area in business. All right, roll up your sleeves. Now it's your turn to audit your kitchen. Check out your fridge, your pantry, and your spice cabinet and take note of what surprises you. Maybe you'll find a local gem you didn't even realize you were supporting. Or maybe you'll discover that some of your staples have traveled across the world to get to you. Either way, this is about awareness, not perfection. I'd love to hear what you find. You can tag me on Instagram at XOXOFarmGirl, or you can email us here at hello@onebiteiseverything.com. The more you share, the more you inspire other people to get local. If you enjoyed this episode and this local food challenge series, it would mean so much if you left a quick review on your favorite podcast app. Reviews help more people discover One Bite is Everything, and they tell platforms that this is a show worth sharing. You can also check out the show notes for links to the Kitchen Audit worksheets, additional resources, and ways to connect. And if you found this episode interesting, share it with a friend. Maybe even challenge them to do their own kitchen audit alongside you. That's it for today. Thank you for listening. I am your host, Dana DiPrima, and this is One Bite is Everything. Remember, every bite connects you to the bigger picture. Next week, we'll be back to other episodes, and a new local food challenge episode will find its way to you next month. Until then, happy auditing.